Okay, so let's cut larger than a mat in our Silhouette Studio software today. Okay, and so I'm actually going to use this round that I have that I need to cut, and it's called Sweet Land of Liberty. And I'm basically just going to take my words and I'm going to drag those off to the side because I'll come back in later and cut them out of vinyl. Okay. And we can also, I'm going to drag my stars off because at the same time, these will fit on a regular size mat, so I don't need to worry about that one. Okay. So let's come in here and let's set up our stripes. Okay. Since I'm doing this on a round, I want to actually have a cut line to go around my round. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to actually draw a circle. I'm going to go to the circle, hold down my shift key, and I'm going to make a 19-inch circle. I want it just a hair bigger. You can go 18.5, it doesn't matter. I just want it a hair bigger than my round so that it makes things a little bit easier for me. And obviously I can't hold down my shift very well, so we'll just make this 19 by 19. And then let's change our fill color so we can see what it looks like. And then we'll just send this to the back. Okay, so I'm going to grab a hold of these two. And I'm just going to hit the center button up here on the top. And let me scooch it out just a little bit so you guys can see it. Okay, so you can actually see here the way everything is set up. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a couple of ways of doing this. Okay, so one way is I'm actually going to come in here and I'm going to rotate these two. So I'm going to go up to Object, Rotate, and I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees. Oops, wanted it the other way. Object, rotate. There we go. Sorry, I wanted it clockwise. And the first way I'm going to show you is how to do this without registration marks. And then the second way I'm going to show you how to do this with registration marks. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a hold of these two. And I'm actually going to scooch these up to the top of my mat and just use a 12 by 12 mat on this one. And the reason why is I'm going to conserve some vinyl because cutting this yellow piece out here is kind of a waste of vinyl to me. So I'm actually just going to set this up like that. And you can see where my cut lines are going to be. And if I go into send, you can see where my red lines around here are going to be. So you can see it's going to cut the circle part out and it's going to cut these out, and I'm going to conserve on vinyl. So I just will come in here and set this to my vinyl glossy, set my cutting machine, and cut everything out. And then once that part is done cutting, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to move my design over to the other side to cut the same way. Now this is where we need to adjust our mat. So I'm going to come in here to cutting mat. I'm going to put it to 12 by 24, and this time around we're going to move this over to include that bottom stripe. So we want to make sure that the bottom stripe is included, and we want to make sure that over here on the edge it's all in there, so it's going to fit on our mat nicely and cut out. Okay, and it's going to cut the circle around it and make it easier. And again, I'm going to come into send, and you can see where everything lined up, and you can see here where I will actually use then this stripe as my registration mark, and then cut everything out and you're good to go. Now the second way you can do this is with registration marks. And so you're like, okay, what's a registration mark? It's just a simple another little object. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to do a square. You can do a circle. It doesn't matter as long as you have something that you can use. And I'm just going to make it 1 inch by 1 inch. Whoops. takes. Grab my square, give it a fill color, something that's different to make it easy. Looks like a hot dog stand right now. Okay, and if I'm going to use registration marks, I'm going to put one here, and I need to make another one, so I'm going to copy and paste it, or actually duplicate. So I duplicated it. And because this is not exactly center on this one because of the stripes in here, I'm going to highlight my 2 squares, and I'm going to come up here and I'm going to line center. Okay, and I'm just going to group those, and the reason being is I don't want them to shift on me. So I have them in here, and I'm going to use my 2 registration marks. And again, I'm going to come in here and I go to send, and you can see where the registration marks are lined up in here. And again, the reason why I didn't do it on the stripe is because if I do it on the stripe, again, you'll lose that extra registration mark, and so it'll make it tougher to see. I could have made it so that they're up here and here, but then you're using 2 really close marks to do it. But you could do it whichever way you would like. Once I cut that all out, then I would come back in here again and I would highlight everything, and I would just shift them over to the other side. And again, you want to make sure that everything is on your cutting mat. Okay, this will work anything larger than a cutting mat as long as you're using the registration marks. And this is why I was showing you 2 ways, because of the way this design was. And again, I just shifted everything over to the mat. I'm making sure that my registration marks are on the mat and they're over here, and then I can go to send. And again, the reason why I was doing it this way, the first way, was because the way the design was to save space. Because in this place, I guess I kind of look at it that I'm literally using an extra 12 by 12 piece of vinyl that I could save for another project. But again, it totally works, whichever way is easier for you. But I wanted to show you 2 different ways of doing the design. Once you have everything cut out, we're going to go on to the next section, and we're going to weed out our vinyl. So I'll see you over there. Thank you.